It's Sunday, September 21st, 2025. And it rained a lot yesterday. It rained a lot. They said it was going to rain a little bit today, but I'm thinking I might get away with this. It's not particularly warm. I don't think it's 20 C out here, but you know, still in short pants, so that's good. But I thought I'd take the opportunity to sneak in some oxalic acid vapor. I've been getting pretty anxious about getting my rotation done. I'm trying to do, I'd like to do every 4 days, but I don't know if I can do every 4 days, particularly with the rain. I can do every 4 days, but with the rain, I don't like working in the rain. So I've just started in on this, and it's going to be a bit slow going, and here's why. So these wooden colonies here, wooden hives, they're pretty good. As you may remember, I made my bottom boards so that this vaporizer would fit perfectly into that 3-inch gap, and that's true. However, I went to do this one here, and when I set the vaporizer in, the box isn't that heavy, and it started lifting the hive. And again, I'll reiterate that these are a very makeshift bottom board. All it is a piece of plywood cut to the size of a cover, and then a shim with an entrance cut in it. So they're not a proper bottom board. But so anyway, what that means is I'm not usually able to leave the vaporizer unattended. So again, transitive properties, what that means is I can't use both vaporizers. You see I have another one here, which works great when I can leave them unattended, but this is not the case. Now, the poly hives, you can see that, I want to put my mask down here. Poly hives are always a pain in the backside, but you can see I've got the little silicone condom on my vaporizer here, and you know, that extends beyond that end of that tube about 1/4 of an inch. I should probably cut it off because that makes the OA collect in there a little bit. I can clear it just fine, so it's not been a big problem. But the problem I'm finding is when I put this in the entrance, that protects the box from the hot tube, but nothing protects the bottom board from the hot unit, and nothing protects the box from the front of the hot unit. So again, that means I need to stand there and hold it. So this is going to be a lot slower than it needs to be because of those reasons. I have an idea up my sleeve, and this idea I kind of came up with when contemplating using the polystyrene 10-frame boxes. And the reason I want to do that is so I can winter outdoors without the bother of wrapping. Without the bother of wrapping, and without the bother of unwrapping, and the bother of storing wraps in the summer. That's what I'm trying to get away with. But that causes some other difficulties. This is one of them. But what I think I'll do is I'm going to get rid of these bottom boards, and I'm going to build wooden bottom boards, and the bottom boards will have either integrated or as a separate part about a 2-inch, I don't know if I get away with 1.5 inches, a 2-inch or so slatted rack. I don't know if you know what a slatted rack is, but it's just a thin, it's about as thick as, say, a bee escape, you know, a couple inches or so. And then it has boards inside that run perpendicular with the frames at spacings with the frames. So what that does for you is it allows you to raise the box up, and part of the logic behind a slatted rack is to get the brood nest away from the cold entrance. It's a cold weather thing. I don't know if you you can run it all year round. I think you can. But the problem with just raising the box is now they're going to build comb on the bottom, as I've seen in these wooden ones, because I've put that spacer on the bottom. The slatted rack then has those boards inside that give them bee space, but they're not going to build comb on the bottom of the frames. I think they'll build comb on the bottom of the slatted rack, but I don't know that's such a big deal, because they'll just kind of do their own thing in there. So that'll give me the cold weather advantage to raise that up, away from the cold entrance. But also, it'll give me a wooden surface to use my vaporizer. And, if you had a thing that was, say, 2 inches high, I don't know if I need to go that high with the slatted rack, I don't know what to call it. I guess it's just going to be a slatted rack, but the purpose is going to be a little different. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But that's a winter project. That's a winter woodshop project. So I'll have to build a bunch of those for the polys. That'll help me solve a different problem too. These poly boxes, I have more boxes than I have bottoms. I have quite a few lids, but I'm missing bottoms. So that'll allow me then to use more of these, and I think I'll build them as separate units. So I won't build them as a pallet, and then I'm just going to use this standard CHEP pallet as the way to carry them around and store them in the building for winter. I think I'm likely going to end up storing my Nucs in the building for the winter, probably ongoing. I'm not sure. I will try to store, winter them outside at some point, but that's not the initial idea here. I'm going to be wintering my 10-frame colonies outdoors and eventually, hopefully, in poly boxes, so that I can, as mentioned, avoid the hassles of wraps, etc. Lots of beards, so I've got the smoker going, and I just about gassed myself out starting the smoker, so I think my eyes are probably all red. But yeah, this is going well. Let's take a quick look at these feeders. The pails are pails, so we know about pails. They leak sometimes, etc., etc. So there's no surprises there. Let's take a look at some of the Hive top feeders I have on here, because that's the new stuff, and that's kind of the experiment. So let's have a look. Okay, this is the Ceracell feeder, and I gotta be careful here because I don't have my veil on. So let's look. Well, the feed is all gone. There's a big yellow jacket sitting there. Former yellow jacket. There's another one down in there. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got a whack of dead bees in it. And I suspect what was happening is they were coming in through this gap. So I either need to come up with a different idea there. What I could do is I could build a box, because this box is too small anyway. So I could build a box for that. Look, there's no gap if I push those together. Maybe I need to run it like that. But I was going to say, I could build a box that's a 6-frame wide, and then make this sit down into a rabbet, so that the cover then sits on the wood and not the plastic. So problem is, if I push those together, I might have a gap on the front and back. So, but syrup's all gone. Now I don't know who ate it, whether it was the bees or the yellow jackets. Might have been both. All right, let's look at some of the poly ones and see how they did. Make sure I have my defense, because again, I have no veil. Okay, what are we going to find here? Not bad. There's still bees in the end here. There's a yellow jacket there. There's another one there. Another one there. Another one there. Another one there. So the yellow jackets are getting in. But I don't like any bees to die, but that's a lot less. So I don't know if they came in from the outside. Probably because they can't get under that feeder mechanism. So there's no bees in this one, save for one. They haven't finished the syrup, and they're still drinking that. I'll bring you closer, you can't really see that. So this is pretty textbook. It's not a bunch of dead bees. The bees are in there, they're taking the syrup. Okay, that's what I want to see right there. Okay, I checked the rest of the poly feeders. So all in all, there's 2 of them, have a bunch of bees in them. I'm not convinced that they're not going under the little plastic thing that the syrup comes through at the bottom. If I don't push that down quite enough, I mean just a 1/4 of an inch, the bees can get under it. But really, they shouldn't even get under it until the syrup is empty, or mostly empty. So they probably should still be alive in there. I don't know. But feeder full of dead bees is not what I'm going for. So I'll have to figure something out with those. I don't know if it's the lid's fault or the feeder's fault or what, but I have to figure that out. I'm not going to bore you with this like I did last week. I'm just going to do it, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. These instant vaps are really working well. It's too bad I can't use both of them. It really speeds things up, because I'm putting 2 grams in these, and that only takes 20 seconds. So it's really, even with 1 instant vap, I'll do easy 2 hives a minute. So I'm really pleased with these things, and they're fairly miserly on the batteries too. They go a long way. Okay, thanks for watching. Okay, hold on that. 2 grams each. And you know, oxalic acid, I've come to really appreciate it. I've never done oxalic acid dribble, or drench, I think sometimes people call it. So whenever I talk about oxalic acid, I always mean vapor, because sometimes I don't remember that there's another method. And today there's starting to come out some even different methods with extended release, etc., etc. So I should be more careful with my verbiage. Oxalic acid vapor. I really appreciate it because it's highly effective at killing mites. The science tells us that it doesn't hurt the bees at all. Boy, they don't like it. But you know, when I'm applying a treatment, the bees really hate it and they get all worked up. But in minutes, they seem to be fine. I'm sure they're still disoriented inside the hive, you know, affected by it somehow, but I don't think it is really that bad for the bees, and obviously a net good to kill the varroa mites. And if you're a non-beekeeper watching my channel, this is what we deal with. We have to keep these varroa mites down. These varroa mites migrated from China to here, North America, meaning here, in 1987. They didn't become as much of a big problem, so I hear, until probably almost 10 years. But they've become a way bigger problem in the 10 years I've been keeping bees. So I'm thinking that if they get any worse, and it's not the mites per se. The mites, you know, if it was just varroa, I don't think they would really have that much of a problem. But they vector all kinds of nasty viruses to the bees, and it makes the bees very sick, and they can't continue to be viable as a colony after that. And a little yellow jacket just landed on the camera. You know, here's some trivia. Honeybee stings, I don't invite them, but they don't bother me that much. They certainly don't make me swell up. I got stung by one of those big long hornets not the black and white ones, but they're kind of black and yellow, but they have really long skinny wings. I got stung by a couple of those on my arm a number of days ago. There was no effect whatsoever from that, but a yellow jacket sting, that turned me into the Michelin Man. It'll make me puffier than I am now. Like, it's really dramatic. I got stung in the nose last summer, and within 2 hours I looked like Elephant Man. It was really dramatic. Not anaphylactic. I've never had problem breathing, so that was good. But it's just different venom makes a person's immune system act differently. So anyway, I was saying varroa mites, we got to keep them under control. And it was a couple of years ago, talking to beekeepers, everybody was battling with high mite counts, and it was very common. It wasn't everybody, but it was very, very common. And I had problems with that, and I lost. That was the winter I lost almost all my bees. I lost all but like 3 colonies, and I'm thinking that was the onset of amitraz resistance, because we've been using amitraz for the 10 years that I've been keeping bees, and I see a lot fewer people using amitraz now. More people using things like formic acid, oxalic acid, various thymol treatments, etc. So I think that's good in the long run. It's not good that all your bees die, but it's good in the long run, because all of those 3 that I listed, they're all organics, and they're not synthetics. So first of all, the likelihood of the bees, the mites becoming resistant to it is a lot less likely, in my mind. I'm not a scientist, so I can't say that from a scientific standpoint. But it seems to me that that is working, because I'm talking to beekeepers today, and they'll alcohol shake through their whole apiary, and they'll find 1 mite in 100 colonies or something. Very low mite counts in a lot of cases. Around here, don't know, haven't done any washes yet. As I stated, not very warm today. I think they say Wednesday is going to be well above 20 degrees, so I think that's my day to not only get another round of oxalic acid vapor, but do some digging into the brood nest and see what's going on with the bees, what the level of brooding is, and take some samples and do some mite washes, see where I'm at. I said last time is more curiosity, because it's not going to change what I do. It's really too late for me to use formic, because I don't want to be killing brood at this point. That it either kills brood or it stops the queen from laying. However you want to look at it, it's the same effect, right? Because I need all the brood I can get right now, because those are the bees that are going to carry the colony through into next spring. So I need them to live until end of April, really. So we'll look forward to that, and I really appreciate you joining me for this. As exciting as this is, it's not really very exciting, but I'm excited that I got it done today. I was getting pretty anxious. Thanks for watching. Take care and have fun. It's Monday, July 22nd. No, it's not July, it's September 22nd. But boy, it feels like July. It is a beautiful day. I've been waiting for a week or two to get some nice weather, dry weather. It's been raining quite a bit. It rained a lot on the weekend. But today and this week, the forecast looks really good. I think today's forecast high was 25C. I believe it's about 23C right now. It should be getting to the high, because it's about 2:30 in the afternoon. So I've been doing lots of work at home. I fed all of the Nucs. I refreshed the pails. They were empty, and I refreshed all of the hive top feeders on the Nucs as well. I refreshed the hive top feeder on the one Ceracell on the 10 frame colony, but those big pails weren't quite empty, so I just left them in place. Hopefully over the next couple of days they'll finish those off because they need to get one more. I haven't checked these pails yet, but I'm pretty sure they'll be empty because they've been on here quite a bit longer than the home yard. So as you may recognize, I'm at the out yard, and I'm going to do a bunch of little stuff here. I'm going to put in entrance reducers, but I'm going to put in entrance reducers so that I can, you can't even see my stuff. I got so much junk in my truck right now. I can do some OAV with my instant VAP. And so I'm going to put those in. And then I decided, you know, it's such a beautiful day, I'm looking for things to do outside. So I brought a bunch of these polystyrene panels, and these are actually styrofoam because they're blue. Styrofoam is a brand name, and it's owned, I think it's Dow owns that one. So if it's not blue, it's not styrofoam. So anyway, that's just trivia. I decided I would bring enough to screw onto the back of the hives, but I also threw in the truck. I also threw in the truck some larger pieces. I can't see them here. That go on the sides, so you can see that the back and the front are shorter than the sides, and there's only two sides because the sides of the boxes that meet the other hive don't get insulated. That's enough insulation for them. They usually cozy up between the two and hug the center and use each other for warmth. So anyway, I'm gonna go and put these on. I didn't bring my tripod, so I can't get a lot of action shots here today. So I'll put on some polystyrene first, and then I'll probably start the smoker, get some reducers in, and then get some OAV done. Oxalic acid vapor, if you're not familiar with that term. All right, so I'll catch you up when I get something done here. All right, I put the back pieces on and the side pieces on. I'll give you a closer look here. So the reason I didn't put the front pieces on is it interferes with oxalic acid vapor application. So you can see I've got my work cut out for me here to get this reducer in, but I'll get the smoker going. And I think these pails are indeed empty, or almost completely empty. Yeah, so I'm glad I kept all these polystyrene pieces. I wasn't really expecting to use them this year. I hadn't really had a plan. Guy in a tight bank going right over me. In a low wing single engine. I wonder if the pilot knows who I am and just giving me a signal or something. Anyway, so I'll get these reducers in. Got them all right here. I'm gonna take these pails back with me so I can fill them up, and so I need to put the feed hole plugs in as well. Okay, that was a lot of up and down on my knees, and that's kind of a lot of work for a fat old guy like me. Okay, gonna take the pails off and get the feed plugs in and get those reducers in. Well, I feel like I got a lot done, and that's only because I think I did. My hives are 3/4 wrapped, 2/3 really, 2/3 wrapped. Reducers are in. I've got my pails so I can fill them up. Probably come back tomorrow, bring those pails back. And first round of oxalic acid vapor on for the fall. Tomorrow is going to be another nice day. I really should get out here and do some washes. I hate doing washes. I hate killing bees. And they're a pain. So we'll figure that out. Get our equipment out here. wash and alcohol and stuff. Make sure I know what's going on with those varroa mites. It'd be nice to look in the nests too, see how these are doing. I've got a selection of queens here. I've got some of my 2025 queens. I've got some Oliveira's queens. I've got some of those Italian Buckfast queens. So there's a bit of a selection here. All right, sorry I couldn't get any action shots. Forgot the tripod. There's a lot of stuff here to remember, so I'm surprised that's all I forgot. And I didn't bring enough water, so I have to get home so I can have a drink of water. All right, thanks for watching. Well, I'm back at the home yard, and I brought my pails. There's a little bit of a wrinkle. Sometimes the bees will propolize up the screen, and then they can't get the syrup. So it's not a big deal, it's just another step. I'll just have to take it to the honey house and hit that with the pressure washer and I'll clean it up. So there's 4 pails need to be cleaned like that. And just as well, because I'm getting low on syrup, I'm not sure I can fill all these. It's not late in the day, but you know, it's the 22nd of September, so the sun starts to get low. And so the shadows are long and you know, a lot of backlit stuff. I thought that I would give you a tour of this conglomeration of syrup mixer machine that I built. I've shown it before on my channel, but there's some that might not have seen it. So I'll bring you a little closer and we'll have a look. So the heart of the system is a standard 1,000-liter IBC tote, and what you can't see is this is all 2-inch plumbing, and this 2-inch line goes up into this bulkhead connector, and then a pipe comes down maybe about that far, and then it hits a 22.5 degree elbow, so it doesn't go down and go straight out like this, but it kind of shoots down that way, and also not exactly straight back, a little bit toward the center. That just creates agitation. It's not rocket science. Does it work perfectly? Probably not, but I don't care. It works great for what I need. And part that I would like to show you, I'm getting a new one tomorrow. I keep buying this device, but I keep breaking it. And part of the reason I break it is I've put it, this is my fill tube, and I have a water meter that goes on here, but when I pick this up with my tractor, the forks hit this and it smashed my water meter. So I have a new one arriving tomorrow. And I need to cut this tube off up here. It doesn't have to come down here. I'll cut it off up here, get that up out of the way. So what that does for me is it allows me to a little more accurately meter the water that's in, going in the tank. And when I'm mixing up my first tank, it doesn't matter as much, but when I want to add to it, I have to do the math, like how much sugar do I have, how much syrup do I need, all that kind of thing. And it's nice to be able to get that a little more accurate. This is a 3-inch pump, but I got the 3-inch because it was on sale. It was cheaper than the 2-inch. I've reduced it down to 2-inch, so it really is a 2-inch pump in effect. I had a cheap motor pump, and it drove me nuts. And so I spent a little extra money, bought the Honda motor pump, and I just smile every time I pull that cord. It starts on the first pull and everything. It's just beautiful. So what happens here is the water, when you start, it's water, but the syrup, there's a valve here. I can open this valve, and it comes out the bottom of the IBC tote into the pump, and then the pump moves it this way. If I'm mixing syrup, then I'll open this valve, and the syrup can go up in there and mix. If I'm serving syrup, which is what I'm doing here today, I have to reach way over here, open that, and then that sends syrup through my 100-foot 1-inch hose here. And if I were to add, I've got a pressure gauge on here really only so that I could see what pressure this ran. This is not a pressure rated hose, so I have to keep the pressure down. It'll take 40 to 50 psi, so I can't get overzealous with it. So what I have to do is when I start the pump, I'll throttle it up until my pressure gauge shows about 40 psi, and that's just about right for filling my pails. So I'll start that up now, and I'll fill these pails before your very eyes. Forgot to mention that I put a 1-inch, it's kind of it's a standard kind of a gas filler sort of nozzle. It's not an automatic, so it doesn't shut off by itself. And you know, you'll see because I'll probably spill some syrup here. All right, let's go. So I want you to watch how I can start this pump, because normally you have to really get everything into a ripcord and give it a real good pull, but this thing I can pull any which way I want. A little bit of throttle, a little bit of choke. Away we go. That yellow jacket's going to be in there the rest of her life. I was right. I didn't have enough. I have the 4 pails I need to wash, so that'll equal about 50 liters, which is really only 2 bags of sugar. Yeah, so I'll have to hook up the trailer, go back to the house where the water service is, and mix that up. I've got a few bags of sugar yet. Okay, I'm going to take this back to the house and I'm going to pack it in for today. I didn't mention over at the outyard, I was watching the bees fly, and they were flying with purpose, you know. They weren't just all over. And so I watched the entrance for a while, and sure enough, they're collecting pollen from somewhere. That's just remarkable. So that's good, I guess. It's nature, so I'm going to say it's good. All right, I'm going to pack it in and go and see my wife for the evening. Thanks for watching. Take care and have fun. It's Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. And it's another beautiful July day in September. What a gorgeous day. Unfortunately, I've had to go out and do some deliveries. Well, I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, you know, that pays the bills, but I was trying to do that on a day that's not perfect for working bees. Today is perfect for working bees. And I don't have tons and tons of bee work to do. However, I do want to get some oxalic acid vapor on these colonies here at home. I'm trying to stick to a 4-day rotation. That doesn't work out every time. It actually seems like it doesn't work more often than it does. But I've kind of got 3 sets of bees that I'm working with on a 4-day rotation. So I only get 1 day off from it, and that is there's about 20 here. There's about 40. What did I say? 43. I think there's 42. There's one died. Not sure why, but there's nothing in it. And there's 16 in the outyard. So I split those up mostly because of battery capacity. I don't have quite enough batteries right now for a lot of colonies, but that's okay, because sometimes this battery runs out of juice too. But today, while I was out doing my deliveries, I took along those pails of syrup. Yesterday I mixed up another, what did I put in there? 12 bags of sugar in there and a bunch of water. I'm not going to do the math for you right now, but got me more than enough syrup to fill the last 4 pails. Put those in the truck and went down the outyard. So they're happy bees now. Boy, those bees are, I don't know, they're doing something. They were getting pollen the other day, so maybe they still are. They were looking in really good shape. I'd like to look under the hood on those too, but I didn't do that today. Maybe I should have. But I was just kind of in a hurry to get in and out. But here I want to use today to get in some bees and look around. And unfortunately, I was looking around here. I don't have my mite wash stuff at hand. So the day is getting on, and I'm not going to waste my time going to look for it. It is what it is. And unfortunately, this is not best practice to get behind on your mite sampling. In all honesty, it is the die is cast, as they say, and what it is, like it is what it is. I'm going to continue with oxalic acid vapor as long as I can, and it is what it is. I believe the bees are in good shape with all the oxalic acid I did in the spring and the formic I did in late summer. They should be in pretty good shape. So I'm just going to look under the hood here, and I thought I'd bring you along because we haven't looked at my bees for quite some time, and I'd like to see what these nests look like. We do go broodless for the most part, mid to late October. Sometimes it's into November. We have some brood, but at this point I'm still expecting 4 frames of brood in these. And so what happens is these pails that I have on, as the brood emerges, then the bees will backfill those cells. So it'll just kind of shut the queen down and curtail laying. And then once all that brood is emerged, then that's the winter cluster. I have in the past dug into the colonies, I think late October, I don't know, 20th October or something. And I'll tell you, that is the weirdest thing, because we concentrate so much when we look at our bees. We concentrate so much on looking at that nest, look at the brood pattern, look at the progression, look at all of the things that we're looking at in the brood nest. And when you open a hive that's got a nice healthy cluster of bees, and you're assuming a laying queen, right? And you go through it, and there's 10 capped frames of feed in that colony, in that hive, in a single, right? It is just the weirdest thing, because there's no brood. There's no brood at all. So, and I know it doesn't happen like that, by the calendar or anything like that, but I have seen it. I've seen it more than once, and it is the weirdest thing to see. It's just like a whole, 60,000 bees in a honey super is really what it looks like. But that's the winter cluster, and they just go from there. So then, we stop feeding them. They start to eat some of the honey out of the cells, and then the queen can lay a little bit, and she just kind of very low and slow all winter, and in spring she'll ramp up. There's a big helicopter coming, I think. So enough of me talking. Let's dive in. Okay, you may know I've been trying different kinds of feeders, and typically, you know, pails versus hive top feeders. This is a Ceracell hive top feeder. I did fill it up the other day. Well, my smoker's gone out, and so they've emptied it once already. I think they'll be good with 2. I don't know how much it holds. Maybe they'll need a little more than 2. But I like it overall, really. You can't carry it like a pail. You have to bring the syrup to it. So here's, you know, they've been eating some syrup. But here, I want to do an inspection on this hive, so I have to lift that thing off. And it's just kind of, you know, it's full of syrup, so I could spill it pretty easily. Another thing I know about hive top feeders is if they don't eat all the syrup and you go to empty it, it's just a little bit weird to try to empty, especially a Ceracell. You pour it out the corner and it'll run down the corner thing. So, like I said, you know, feeder. What's the best feeder? Well, it's the one you hate the least, right? So, I think there's a lot to like about Ceracell feeders. I think there's a lot to like about pails. But, you know, nothing's perfect, right? Anybody that's trying to tell you that something's perfect has got something to sell. Okay, well, brought that back to life. So we'll just give the guard bees something to think about. And I think I'm going to try to set this feeder down opposite here. Oh, it's really stuck down. There's no handles on it like a box. Oh boy. So I stick my hands under it where the bees are? Oh yeah, okay. See, this is why I was trying to put the foamy under it, because they've, oh boy, yeah, I did spill it. They've built comb up under the lid. And this is exactly why I run foamies. Because what I've done is I've torn all that comb apart that they've built, and now there's bees in that syrup that I've exposed. So when I put this back together, I'm going to lay this 6-frame foamy on here like this, so they can still come up in the middle and they can get at it on the ends. And that'll just help. It won't completely solve the problem, but yeah, see, I spilled it. There's syrup everywhere. Okay, I have to try to get some of these to go down. I haven't inspected a hive in a long time. They get very hard to inspect this time of year with the amount of honey and syrup and stuff in them. Okay, what's this? This is going to be a solid syrup frame, I'm sure. Yeah, it's not quite all capped, but pretty good. Just put that right there. There's brood right here. So I'm going to take a little bit closer look at this one. Let's see if those open cells. No, that's nectar and pollen. Okay. So I think that followed the pattern of what I was talking about, that emerged and then they backfilled it, because it's just the size and shape of a little brood nest. Now this one is probably, I'm expecting anyway, to be a really good layer. She's likely going to be laying a little harder than some of the others, because this is one of my new queens. This is a new 2025 home raised queens. And somebody asked me in my in the comments recently, well, why don't you just raise those in 10-frame boxes instead of the 6s? And that real answer is, I don't know. Maybe I should. Because look at them. That's frame number 2, right? I'd love to see that beautiful queen. But I'm not going to spend too much time looking for her. She should be marked. That's a beautiful nest. That is 100% laid up. Every empty cell is full of larvae. So she is really pushing back against the syrup storing process. Oh yeah, brood. I wonder how far over it goes. I don't want to pull the whole thing apart. It's a beautiful colony. Oh, this is a beautiful colony. I need some nice bees. I used to have nice bees. It's been a struggle. Oh boy. Okay. This is pollen syrup. Well, there's a little bit of sealed brood here still, but they're backfilling. Like I said, they're backfilling immediately upon emergence. So I think that's the end of the nest there. So it doesn't go all the way across, which I'd be really surprised if it had. Okay, well, that's all I want to see here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to say 5 frames with brood. What did I say? I think I said that, didn't I? That I would expect to see 5 frames with brood. Oh, wow. Okay, that's a good queen. That's a really good queen. And like I say, I see that sealed brood right here too. Frame number 2. This is a good thing. These are heavy. All these big syrup frames are heavy. They're just like big honey frames, very heavy. Alright, so that's still centered and tight. We'll get them down there. Yeah, I was saying this is why I use foamies, to keep the comb from sticking to the lid, and in this case the bottom of the feeder. So that is exactly why I use those. It's not windy, but there's a tiny breeze and that'll blow away. Okay, let's see if I can lift this. Oh, it's heavy. Well, it's full of syrup. It's heavy. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, there's bees everywhere now. Okay, I think that'll settle over time. And again, quite a bit of syrup in it, even though I spilled some. All right. Okay, this is where the pail shines over the hive top feeder. That's very easy. I don't know about this one, what I should expect of it, because I'd kind of given up on it early in the summer. And then it sort of bounced back. I think it's a 2-year-old queen. You know, and they don't even look that great right now. Yeah, they're not really that great. We gave them 2 pounds of patties when we pulled the honey. So they've eaten that. And the reason I mention that is if a colony is not brooding, they don't eat the patty. So you can, you know, that's an indication of queenlessness. You can add a patty, you know, leave it for a week. If they don't touch it, then they're not brooding. So they're sealed brood, and again, they're backfilling that completely behind the emergence. And that's just on one side. I don't worry about the parchment, it's just paper. Came from the trees and it'll return to the trees. I just think it's an old queen. I don't think there's a lot wrong with them. They're very much backfilling this. There's the queen there. So we'll see. I think they got a 50-50 chance of making winter. The nest is pretty good looking, you know, as far as size goes. Boy, there's a lot of brood. Holy cow. But that, you know, that sealed brood, that'll be gone in 12 days, right? So if she hasn't relayed that due to backfilling, then in 2 weeks there's going to be nothing left. I'll refill these pails, but they're not quite empty. And I like to kind of go by, you know, 2 pails should be enough rule. So I'll wait another few days. Holy smokes. That was a little weird. And not that rare, but makes you wonder if it's robbing something, but I don't see that kind of indication at the entrance. Oh boy. There's a bit of a beard on the front, so I thought they'd probably be pretty healthy. Uh-oh. Work bees for a few weeks and you get all clumsy. I always pray the queen isn't on the first one. Sometimes she is. Okay, that's a complete frame of feed, both sides. Sealed feed this side, and I bet you, yeah. Okay, that's 2. Some drone brood here, some drone brood there, a little bit here as well, but nothing else, just feed. And that's completely backfilled. It's mostly sealed, but capped, I should say, but it is backfilled. This is backfilled with a little bit of immature brood there and a patch of sealed brood there. Okay. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't really need to know a whole lot in these, other than my row count, but I'm not prepared for that. Sometimes I go without my hive tool for quite a few days, not knowing where it is, and then I inspect the hive and I realize it's under the lid. Okay. Try not to mash too many bees with this. All right, just curiosity. Nice to look into bees once in a while. And I don't know if I'm going to get any washes done. It's kind of bad to not make that a priority, but I'm honestly still not feeling very good, but it's just tough to keep up. Have to do some deliveries again this week, so I'm not sure how much more. I've got a complaint. I'm gonna vent here for a minute. You know, Monday was kind of a cool day, I think, and I was watching the whole weekend. I was watching the weather forecast, thinking, okay, this is a good week. Tuesday and Wednesday, and Thursday still a little bit, but Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be nice and warm. 20, you know, low to mid 20s, sunny. It's sunny the whole time. And Tuesday came, 17 degrees, and completely overcast. And so I can't go in bees. I'm not going to go in bees like that, because if I can't go in bees with short pants on, I'm not going to go in bees. So I kept busy anyway. But I was mixing syrup at 20 after 5 in the afternoon, and the clouds just went, like literally just went, shoo, they were gone, and it was beautiful sunny. And I thought, okay, that's really nice, but the sun is going to be down here in a little bit. So that's what I was looking forward to today. And worked out good. I didn't get as much done as I kind of thought I would, but you know, I got sidetracked on some other stuff, but it had to be done anyway. So I'm just, you know, I don't know if forecasters, I don't know if the people in charge of forecasting really understand, I'll be honest, understand their job. Like, why do they exist? You know, think about that. Why do they exist? It's good to have somebody, it's good to have an entity that's going to warn you of destructive weather so that you can stay safe. But otherwise, why do they bother forecasting whether it's going to be a rainy day or a sunny day? Why would they do that? Well, in my mind, one of the most important things, one of the more important reasons to have a forecast is to aid those who produce our food, because they work outside. And a lot of other people work outside too. But particularly those who produce our food. And, you know, if you can't be a little more accurate than that, I think you're missing the mark. You know, everybody rags on forecasters that they get it wrong more than right. And I get that. And I also understand something about meteorology. I studied meteorology a little bit when I was younger. And I do understand that when you have, basically weather is made up of high pressure and low pressure zones and how they interact and whatnot. And a high pressure zone and a low pressure zone mean something different in the winter than they do in the summer. And in the fall and in the spring, those two things invert. So I do get it that in the fall, like now, that when you're looking at a low pressure zone coming or a high pressure zone coming, you're not sure if you should classify that as a summertime system or a winter system. because you're in the fall, you're in the shoulder seasons. And the same thing happens in the spring. And I think that's probably why in the spring and fall, they get it wrong a lot. That's an uneducated opinion, but I do know that that's a thing. Like, for example, here in the summer, we get a nice big high pressure zone that comes and sits on us, and it doesn't move, and it's blue sky and sunny and hot. In the summer, in the winter, you get a big high pressure that sits on top of you. It's 40 below and sunny. So those two things invert. You know, a low pressure zone in the summer it can be rainy and not as warm. It can be kind of cool, that sort of thing. Well, in the winter here, low pressure zone still means you're going to get some snow, but it's going to be warm. It's either warm and snow or cold and sunny here. So I don't know. It was just really, I was really disappointed in the forecasting yesterday. I was planning on a really nice day and, you know, do my washes and bee work and stuff, and it didn't work out that way. So I ended up with this one day, and then today kind of got sidetracked, and so I'm actually in a bad mood, I think. So anyway, we'll leave you with that for now. I really appreciate you watching and listening to me ramble. Take care and have fun.